the late Mr. Tan Jim Lay, who is the one of the descendant of the well-known Singapore businessman and philanthropist, the late Mr. Tan Quy Lan. A name was given to a road in Singapore. A good guess would be he most probably met him in Singapore. Something to do with the Jalia Trading Company. Met him and liked his product and his formula. That's how all began.
Yeah, he is very hardworking, my father-in-law. Night time also, he work also. He's hardly sit down one, and he like all the children and his daughter-in-law hardworking also. All help him also. Packing the Hongyu in the factory, in the small place. I sell Hongyu one period. Every day I go out and sell. Very sellable. Very sellable. He is Hongyu. Every day finish. All the people, all the customer like his Hongyu very much.
He's a very strong character person. No nonsense, straightforward person. He likes style. He was wearing a suit. I hear a story he smoked cigar. And righteous person.
Mr. Tan Jin Lay, who's a trader at that point in time, had a business, had a company named as Jalia and Company. It was a trading house. So he brought that medicated oil to Lien An for it to be sold in the medical hall. Lien An was a turning point. Why the turning point? Because I think as a medical hall, they had the opportunities to meet with traders, businessmen, or even consumers patronizing the retail outlet. Or rather, the three shareholders of Lien An was my father, the late Mr. Lim Chi Hun, and another gentleman by the name of Mr. Ng.
For his heart, he is good, right? And generous. He's not hypocrite. He loves his mother. He is very prudent with family member. My father is just simply is a businessman. He's like to talk, right? He able to mingle, but he value honesty. That's very important. He's a trader, if I'm not mistaken. Bring goods from Indonesia, then go to Singapore, Then they start whatever goods which is able to sell, they will sell. Green oil maybe, as you starting, you do not start with green oil, right? I'm sure he carry a little test the market of Indonesia.
As far as I know, he's only the only Indonesian amongst the group of shareholders. Efforts of the late Mr. Chew, he was able to bring the products out of Malayan state into Indonesia.
It was Mr. Chew who ran the company. My grandfather had the formula, the bottle design, the flavor, the fragrance. It was Mr. Chew, really, who liked the product very much. Eddie's father. The story goes down, when he first smelled it, he loved it, and he wanted to join the company.
Lien An was a very unique place, and I think it's out of Lien An, it was able to bring together these shareholders, which eventually became shareholders of Borden, and how Borden was born or how Borden came about. In a way, these this group of people saw the potential of this product, and they decided that maybe perhaps they should come together, instead of just being a trader. It could be an opportunity where they can start to manufacture the products in Singapore back then. So this is where the late Mr. Tan suggested that why not, the parties come together, form Borden Company, and that's where they eventually bought over the trademark rights, the proprietary rights, and the trademark rights from J. and Company. And Borden was then born in 1960. When the company was incorporated in 1960, I think the very, very first managing director of the company was the late Mr. Lim Chi Hun. And I was told that he managed it for a very short time.
I think my grandfather saw something in Mr. Chu Jin Xian, so he let him do the management of the company. And later on, when Mr. Chu Jin Xian passed away, my grandfather became the managing director. But at that time, the company was very self-run, really. It was stable. And then came Mr. Yeo Boon Hong.
The early days of Borden was quite challenging and also tough. So there were a lot of below-the-line kind of activities.
以前很小的，在联邦啊，在马来西亚一直推销，一直什么去怡保啦、马六甲啦，我们六个，跟我的姐妹，我几个姐妹这样，我们一起去啊，有期去1个礼拜啦，有期去10天这样咯。
Yeah, when I joined Borden in 1970, so I think there were only 3 staff in the company. So my main task is handling the banking and shipping.
I joined Borden 1967, July. So before the beginning, I was working as an odd job labor. Everything also doing. Then until 1977, one of my chemists retired, and I take over his job to doing the preparing oil. Then from the beginning, the oil we start from a small tank with a small pot beginning to a mixing tank, 3-ton machine tank.
In fact, it was Mr. Chu Jin Xian. He took this medicated oil back to Jakarta and he became a distributor there. And without any advertisement, the sales took off. And it actually became number 1 for this industry within 5 years.
In order for the business to grow bigger or for the business to flourish, they need to look beyond the shores. And apart from the late Mr. Chu, who was involved in growing the business in Indonesia, my father was basically tasked to expand the business other than all over the other parts of the Indo-China region.
We have an agent in Hong Kong, whereas all these export from Hong Kong, they go overseas, either to Vietnam or to the United States. There, because of the war breakout or one, some of the Vietnamese come to us to be our distributor in Vietnam. Similarly, our product expand is because of the Vietnam market. Vietnamese people who migrate to the United States, to Australia, to Canada, or elsewhere, to Vietnam also. That's how our product expand. During that time in the 70s, when Mr. Yeo Boon Hong becomes the managing director, he sees the need to bring in machines because we can't cope with manual labor. We have our production staff about 50 or more than 50 workers, and we are unable to handle the large flow of orders, especially to Indonesia. We see the need to bring in machineries to cope with these orders. That is where we buy machines at our 9 Jalan Kilang.
So till the very last day, he was still a managing director of the company and was the longest serving managing director of Borden in the history of Borden.
哦，没有他是很好的人，他都很勤劳，很节省呐，他的人很节省呐。他的中国人很节省，他对工人也是很好，每个工人都很喜欢他。你可以问，每个工人都很慈善，会帮工人啊买物资啊什么，人家要跟他借，他说不用，我送给你，我钱送给你，去买这样，他的人很好的。
Okay, Yeo Boon Hong also is a nice man also. I used to sometimes Yeo Boon Hong time I also sometimes as his personal driver also. When the driver not around, he will call me, Asuna, come fetch me to town, all this and that. And sometimes he will ask me to sit, come we eat together. Street worker also very nice also.
Indonesia was one of a very important market at that time. Due to the government regulation which encourage a local production, we start PT Eagle Indo Pharma in the early 70s. That's how the Indonesian company is formed. In the early 70s, we only produce the medicated oil, and that's only the products. Our strong selling point is the quality conscious, consumer base. That bring our company to the next level, because whatever we do, we stick to the quality. We are very consumer based in our mind and our action.
In 2006, we decided that we need to tear down the particular property that we had and redevelop it into the full potential, which is eventually where we are located right now. It's a 7-story light industrial building, 50,000 square feet with GMP facility. Incidentally, GMP is a good manufacturing practice where we were accorded the Heritage Brand in 2006 and subsequently also the Enterprise 50, which we have been participating for the last 6 years until 2014. And we were very fortunate and blessed that we were honored the top honors, top award in 2014. And in a way, that is a testament for us, for the company that we have achieved, we have set out to achieve, and we managed to achieve it. The kind of recognition that we were looking for. This year is a very special year for us. We will be celebrating our 80 years of Eagle Brand's founding. Success of a business or a brand cannot be solely dependent on a single entity, but rather a combination of many factors. Could be the distributors, could be the stakeholders, the support of your consumers, your suppliers, and many others. So it is all these elements that come together to make the business a success or a brand to be well known. So in summary, it is in unity we strive, and in our quest, we soar.
Thank you all for being a part of this company, and many, many more years to come.
I really thank you for the previous leaders of the companies. In closing, I like to say that in unity we strive, in our quest we soar. Like an eagle, we will keep fly higher and higher. Long life Eagle Brand. All the very best for the future.